Well, I think it's a bit more chilly at the moment, and it's clearly over the protocol. I think that both sides of goodwill, they advanced a historic trade agreement in the past, and we would like to see that through as well. But not to miss the point that certainly the protocol has strained relations.
Do you think a solution can be found to those difficulties around the protocol with the view to getting power sharing back up and running at Stormont?
For sure. And I think that there was an election, and a campaign is part of forming a government. So the parties are obligated to play through what they said they would do during the election season, and that is to sit in government and argue some days just about the mundane challenges of public life.
What do you see the biggest threat is right now?
Well, I think there's an intransigence that has settled in on the part of the UK. Whether or not that's a bargaining posture, we'll all have to wait and see.
Now, you've been saying for some time now that if there's any threat to peace and stability on this island, there won't be any US-UK trade deal signed off on. Why do you think it is that you have to keep repeating that message?
Well, let me use this occasion to reaffirm it. We think that a trade agreement with the UK is desirable. However, the Good Friday Agreement belongs to America, too. We were honest brokers along the way, accepting the notion that we would find space for the planter and the Gale to live together. And I think that all that we put into the Good Friday Agreement also means that we should ensure its outcome. And the trade agreement is out there for everybody to witness if the Good Friday Agreement is not disturbed.
Now, the UK has signalled its intent, though, to essentially break international law when it's going to table this legislation we expect in June to scrap parts of the protocol. If they go ahead with that, is that enough to kind of meet that bar of undermining peace here to not allow a US-UK trade deal to proceed?
Well, I think that the better position is that they are mapping out what they'd like to do. They were very vague on where that will end up in the conversations that we had with Secretary Truss. I would say that there was, I think, a deliberate effort to say that there's still considerable room here for negotiation. It is clear that European Union wants a negotiated settlement. However, they don't want to see an international agreement signed by the Prime Minister abrogated.
Now, you are very firm in that position, as is Speaker Pelosi, as is President Biden. If things change come November with the midterm elections and perhaps there's a Republican colleague in your role, a Republican Speaker of the House, do you think those commitments and that firm belief in the Good Friday Agreement will still be there if there are Republican colleagues in control?
Well, first, we don't intend to lose these elections. And second, President Biden is still going to be there. That's the reality. And the delegation that we've brought with us includes Republicans who see the protocol the way that Democrats do. It's really important to remind everybody that during these discussions with Secretary Truss that the firm positions that our Republican colleagues took were the same as the ones that the Democratic Party took.
And mentioning President Biden there, he has yet to appoint a US Special Envoy to Northern Ireland. Should he do that with haste?
Well, I think that there'd be some deliberation on his part, but if you recall, I did urge the former president to embrace an envoy. And in this case here, I think through this rocky period, it still makes sense to do something like that. I think there's always an element of tension that exists between the Secretary of State's office and special envoys, and I think that the president will just have to sort that out.
Do you think that might happen sooner rather than later?
I hope so. I mean, I think that this is but one bump, but I anticipate that there will be other bumps in the road as well as we proceed with the deliberations, and having somebody on the ground would be really important.
So from here you'll travel on to Belfast and Derry to meet various parties there. Now, the DUP MLA Gordon Lyons has accused you of being one-sided when it comes to Northern Ireland, while his party leader Jeffrey Donaldson has said your trip will be a waste of time if you can't see unionist concerns around the protocol. Do you accept that there are difficulties and concerns there?
I accept that there are difficulties, but I also accept that the success that we've witnessed so far was against long odds. We represent no threat to the culture of unionism. Across many states in America, the tradition of unionism and the contribution that they made to America was remarkable. And that's the experience that I would bring to the discussions.
And on the broader US-UK relationship, I mean, there's been great cooperation in the last year with the AUKUS deal, the response to the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Is that relationship as strong as ever, or has the issues around the protocol damaged it?
I think the UK and the United States, we see international events largely the same way. There are differences that we might have from time to time, but the alliance is as strong as ever. I think we have great regard for each other, so I don't think there's any threat to the alliance, but I do think that there's an opportunity here for us to express a difference that exists over the protocol. And the protocol ought not to become an obstacle to ensuring the success of what we believe to have been a guarantee that America offered.
Well, on that note, we'll leave it there this evening. Chairman Richard Neal, thanks indeed for joining us on 6-1.
Great to be with you, Katrina.